All right, well, let's take a few minutes to discuss some very basic things regarding Blender. So this is Blender. It's a wonderful 3D modeling program that can be used for all manner of things: photography, animation, and of course modeling, which is a little bit of what we're going to talk about now. So you can see I'm moving around. I've got my mouse on. I've got my finger on the middle mouse button, and that's how I'm able to rotate. Um, I'm able to select different objects in the scene simply by left clicking. Now over here on the side, you'll see that this is an outline. And by default, it tends to be here in the upper right-hand corner that shows the objects in the scene. So since we're only going to be dealing with modeling, I'm going to get rid of these items by simply selecting them and pushing delete on my keyboard. Down here, there's a whole slew of things that we'll get down to in future lessons. Up here, of course, you have all these different areas. All your different commands. There are a lot of keyboard shortcuts we can discuss as well. We'll get into this later. I'm going to push N on my keyboard, and I'm also going to be able to bring up some properties. Now, if I select this cube, and the cube is there by default when you open a new scene, I can go and find details about this. Now, I can manually change things. I can move this location of this object by simply tabbing through or selecting the area and so forth. Likewise, if I move, I can also push G on my keyboard, and I'm able to grab and move this way. Or I can grab and push X, Y, or Z on my keyboard, and it will only move on that axis. Now, the reason I knew to push X was up here. You've got this little gizmo that shows the axes that you're on. Okay? So, moving on, a couple of quick things that I'd also like to show is that you can manipulate this object in other ways in addition to simply adjusting it. You can actually get to the object and you can go into a different mode and manipulate it vertex by vertex, edge by edge, or plane by plane. Up here in the top left, there's this, it says that it's an object mode. I can simply switch to edit mode by clicking here. Alternatively, I can also push tab on my keyboard, and that'll usually rotate me between being in edit mode or object mode. And those are two of the more common modes that you're going to use. Now, once I'm in here, you'll see that there's these dots. Those are points, vertices. And of course, the rays that you're seeing are the edges. And of course, there are the planes. Now, same deal. If I draw an X or a box around one of these objects and I push G on my keyboard, I can now manipulate this object vertex by vertex, or multiple vertexes at once. Same deal, pushing G, sliding this over, and I'm able to do that. I can do this edge by edge. So if I switch this to the edge tool, I can now grab specific edges and I can move them, pushing G. This is another keyboard shortcut. I'm going to push S and scale it to make it larger. And I can also do it by clicking on the plane, and I can manipulate things plane by plane. I can grab this plane, move it around, or one fun little thing that we'll get into later is the ability to extrude. So if I grab this plane and I push E on my keyboard, it will take that plane and it will specifically the direction that the plane is facing. I can pull that out and it creates a whole new set of planes. Okay, so we're going to start with those items. Take a little bit of time to try these couple of tools out and see what you get. We'll circle back around and do a little bit more shortly.